Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Laps Down. If you're wondering why we're dressed so fancy and why my cat is wearing a tux, because he's also fancy, it's because this is the Laps Down Awards. Yes. Pause for applause. Pause for applause. Is everybody clapping, MJ?
I hear them clapping.
I hear hoots and hollers. Like, people are excited.
Thrilled.
Yeah. So this is also our last episode of 2024. So it would also be like a little bit of a recap. We're going to give out our awards, and we're also going to give out like literally our awards, like our highs and our lows of each series for this year. And so it should be a pretty exciting episode. Is there an award that you're most excited about? Like one that you just like cannot wait to find out who won?
I'm really excited about the NASCAR paint scheme, if I got to be honest. That's the one that most of my hopes are riding on. I hope everyone voted with their hearts and also in agreement with me specifically.
Yeah. I also will say I think we both already know all the results for all the awards. So there's
sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know if we were pretending like we haven't looked yet. I actively have them open on my screen.
Yeah, right. No, I think it was fun to play pretend a little bit. So yeah, this is like a very official and very real award show. I know people all across the motorsports world have made their voice heard. We had a record number of votes, and by record I mean we've never done it before. So this is now the record. Mm-hmm. That's so fun. Fun how that works. And yeah, let's just get started. We're starting off with F1. And I think the F1 awards were very fun. The first one was Best Win. And this was actually kind of tough because each of these winners had multiple winners. So I had to think about not only who would, what maybe the people wanted to vote on, but also what the best win from each person was. So the first one we had was Carlos Sainz in Australia. I thought this was a really cool win because it was like the first one where we were like, oh, wait, Max Verstappen maybe could be beatable? What? And then also, I just think it's fun when people get their appendix out and then they like win the next race. Like, I think that's quirky and fun.
So fun.
Everybody loves that storyline because it happens all the time. It's
right.
It's like classic sports storyline. You lose your appendix and then you win a race. We also had Lando Norris in Miami. This one was for the Lando girlies. The Lando girlies love Lando in Miami. Obviously, it was his first win. I think it's also like hell yeah, America. You know what I mean? Like that was kind of the vibes where it was like Miami. He had like the papaya and like the trophy and like the stadium, and Max hit a cone. That was fun. Mm-hmm. Charles in Monaco, cause like hometown win. Those are cute. George Russell in Las Vegas. I just think like, unfortunately, his best win would have been the one in Belgium where he was disqualified. I think it was Belgium.
I think so.
I almost wanted to put that anyways because I just thought like
it was a good win.
It was good. Sucks until he broke the rules or whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a win anymore.
Yeah, but I chose Las Vegas because I feel like that was like such a dominant win. Like he had dominated that entire weekend. Kind of out of character for George Russell. Like, no offense, but most of the time his like wins are kind of like a meme win. You know what I mean? And this was like, no, he's actually just good. Crazy how that works. Do you, like, seriously, like, be for real? I'm so sorry, guys. My cats are disrupting the environment. I then had Lewis Hamilton in Silverstone, another hometown win, long time since he had a win. And Oscar Piastri in Baku because the other win sucked and it was sad and it was weird. And this one didn't suck and wasn't as sad and weird. So that's good. And then Max in Brazil because that was just psycho crazy. That was crazy hours. And who do you think you would have picked as your vote?
Max in Brazil because that is my favorite track. And then that was just an insane race to watch.
Yeah.
I
think that was like the most places gained out of all of these wins. So like automatically is like kind of fun. I think I also would have picked Max in Brazil. And I also think it was just fun because there was like a championship battle happening in the background. Mm-hmm. And there was like this like, will he, won't he, like this could be the weekend where Lando like, closes the gap. And then Max was like, sorry. Sorry for that championship storyline you guys were going for. I'm going to absolutely destroy everybody. But the people made their voice heard, and their voice was different than ours. So I'm happy to announce our first winner of a Lapstown Award is Lando Norris in Miami.
Wow.
Ooh. And
the
he's
crowd
actually
goes
here.
Wild.
He's here to
He's here to accept his award.
Lando? No, I'm just kidding. He's not here, guys. I know you thought he was on the pod, but he wasn't. Maybe next year. He's a busy guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think he won by a pretty sizable margin.
Well, he had...
Well, nobody voted for
votes.
Max. Nobody voted for Max.
There were only 4 races that were voted for. Lando obviously won with 7 votes, and then Charles got second. His win in Monaco was 6 votes.
And I think that one, it's an emotional win. It was like one that people had wanted to see for a while. So I kind of get that one.
Yeah.
But nobody voted for Max? Guys, that was kind of insane. We also had a good amount of people vote for Lewis in Silverstone. That one also makes sense to me. And then we just had a couple votes for... Who's that?
That is Max. They did vote for Max. 2 people did.
Oh. I might be a little hard of seeing colors. Oops. So 10% of the votes went to Max in Brazil. And me and MJ did not vote. Mm-mm. So we are not the 2 votes. But I don't know. I guess that's fair. I feel bad for, all the people that didn't get voted. Your win was just not cool enough. Sorry. Try again next year. But we were a little spoiled with just how many winners we had, and every weekend, not actually being able to easily predict exactly how everything was going to turn out, especially when you consider how different some of the podiums were. We were a little spoiled. I'm really hoping that we're spoiled again next year, or else, honestly, the Lapstown Awards would be pretty boring.
I was going to say, it's just Max up there.
Best Max win.
Stay tuned. 2025.
Hey, we could make that fun. So this next award, I thought was fun. It was F1's biggest dumbass moment, and I think that this is special because I couldn't make a biggest dumbass category for IndyCar or NASCAR. There wasn't as many dumbass moments. There were some that we could stretch to be okay, yeah, whatever. But I felt like F1, I could have been here all day listing dumbass moments.
Probably.
But
there were quite a few. And they were all big dumbass moments with consequences. Whereas I feel in NASCAR and IndyCar, the dumbass moments were just a blip. But
yeah,
F1 really goes all out. And I think that's why it's the pinnacle of motorsport.
They go big. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think that F1's scripted? Do you think that these dumbass moments were put in there just for the Drive to Survive storyline?
Yeah, I think so. I think actually maybe the NASCAR bots just leaking over into IndyCar. Or not IndyCar, F1. Writing all these dumbass moments in to try to sabotage it. That's my
or maybe
conspiracy.
The script was AI generated. Seeing how everybody's so obsessed with AI these days, they AI generated how to make F1 fun, and then they just put in these little quirks that AI came up with.
No, I think you're. Yeah, I think FIA their budget goes to ChatGPT. And that's why they can't hire full-time stewards. They're oh, so sorry. We actually have to write this script with this budget.
Technology can do crazy things. Maybe next year we could do a category of dumbest shit the FIA has done. A specific FIA category. That could be fun.
That would be good.
Well, our nominees this year, one of my favorites, and the one that I probably would have voted for, was Lance Stroll rear-ending Daniel Ricciardo under safety car in China. I remember it was 3 a.m. I was watching the race, half asleep, and they were under safety car. I think it was in the sprint race in China, maybe, not even the actual race. And no, maybe it was the actual race. But yeah, Lance Stroll just had a little moment where he maybe wasn't paying attention to the road and just rear-ended the fuck out of the car in front of him. And I just think that is so relatable. I've
been there.
Yeah,
I've
really
actually done that before, so me too, Lance.
Yeah, and then like he kind of like when the press asked about it, he just kind of somehow was like, it was actually Daniel Ricciardo's fault. And they were like,
Hey,
but like how?
I've been
And he
there
was
too.
like, he was like, yeah, I don't know. I actually don't really know how it was his fault. I think I just am gonna keep with the story though that it was his fault. And they were like, so true, Lance. I think
So
that
true.
that was great. I think it was such a great dumbass moment. It was silly. It just reminded us like the drivers are just like us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, any one of us could be in that Aston Martin.
Yeah, and that's so fun. We also had Ferrari's strategy for Charles in China, which, if you guys don't remember,
In
was
Canada.
Oh, what did I say? In China.
You said China.
Oops.
Although I'm sure it wasn't great there either.
Yeah, I feel like there could have been something there too.
Yeah.
In Canada, if you don't remember, it was a rain race, but like a little bit of on and off rain. And they did like a quirky little thing with Charles where they would just put him on like wet tires when it wasn't wet and then like dry tires when like it wasn't dry. And it was like really innovative. Like we've never seen that before. And so there's probably a reason. I mean, he did get lapped.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
It might have lost them the Constructors' Championship. Oops. But, like, I just think, like, they keep pushing the boundaries of strategy at Ferrari in such a fun way. And I think that that is a great contender for biggest dumbass moment. We had one that nobody voted for. I'll just spoil it. It didn't win. Lando and Max crashing into each other in Austria. I'm going to take that to mean that the audience of Laps Down, they actually don't think that was a dumbass moment. They were like, that it was fun. Which, like, thinking about it more, I'm like, you know what? Fair. Right? Because it's like, if not for that, that race would have been so boring. So, like, they, like, kind of did that for the people. And maybe it wasn't even them being dumbasses. They did it on purpose. Again, because F1 is scripted. Thoughts?
Right. It was a entertainment element more so than like a dumbass accident.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
I love it too. I also think maybe no one voted for this, as we've learned from our first poll or our first
because they
award.
might be fans.
A lot of Lando fans, I think, in our audience.
Fair. Which is surprising. I don't know how you guys do it.
You guys are so great. We see you. Hey, girl, we see you.
Hey,
we love you.
I think back to that, though, and it is kind of crazy that they, like, barely touched wheels, and that was, like, enough to derail their whole race. Like, there is something so fun about that, too. Like, it's like
and
F1
after all that fighting, it was just, like, that little kiss of the wheels. It was like, hey, actually, both y'all, out.
You're done. You're done. And then lastly, we have the FIA not moving the mirror in Qatar. Because if you don't remember correctly, they went through the effort of actually putting out a yellow flag and like putting like a slow spot on the racetrack specifically so they could maybe grab the mirror. But then they just like didn't. And that was, again, like so creative. And I don't think we ever considered that to be a possibility. And I just think that that was like such a great contender for biggest dumbass of the year. What would you have voted for, MJ?
The mirror. That was insane. They literally, I was like, there's no way this is, I'm like, there's no way this is going to unfold how we're going to see it unfold. But they never ceased to amaze me. And I think that's so fun. I thought it was fun. I had a good time. Shout out to the mirror.
Well, I think that 55% of our voting audience agrees with me because that was the winner of our biggest dumbass award of the year.
By a lot.
So congratulations, MBS. The organization is doing wonderfully, and unfortunately, he's also not here to accept his award. It might be because we have like an ongoing, like I think it's maybe like this is the 5th episode in a row that I've shit on him and his entire organization, so he might not ever want to come to the Lapsdown Awards. Rats. Wow. Okay. Well, our next award is F1 Meme of the Season. And the first nominee that we had was Oscar Leclerc. This, for those of you that might not remember, because it was 100 years ago, because the F1 season is so long. It was right before Monaco. Oscar Piastri was on a roll of claiming heritage in every country that they raced in. Mm-hmm. And he really wanted to be part of the Monaco population of elites, you know what I mean? And Charles said, that's great. I can actually adopt you. And they kept this joke going for so long. And it got to the point where F1 was in on it, and they literally put Oscar Leclerc as his, like, name tag on, like, F1 TV whenever they would show him. Mm-hmm. And I think they put it all over social media. I think Arthur, Charles's actual real-life brother, was in on it, saying, like, congrats to the family podium when Oscar and Charles both got on the podium. So that was cute. That was a little funny. I had a little hee-hee. We had Carlos' silly season rumors. Now, we got carried away with this. There was rumors that he could be going everywhere. One of my favorites was that he was going to be driving the safety car. I just thought, like, that is comedy. That is comedy. I'm sorry. I know it sounds sarcastic, like, when I'm reading these. Like, I actually do think these are funny. There's just no way for me to introduce them seriously.
Yeah.
A great meme of the season, papaya rules. That shit got roasted so hard.
It was good.
And I think that, like, Lando really summed it up great at the end of the season when he said papaya on top. It was like he was in on the joke. Like, it's so fucking ridiculous that you guys say this, like, so much. Like, we get it. Your color is papaya. But papaya rules is, like, meme. I think that's a forever meme in F1 now. Like, that's going to, like...
It's going to
from
haunt
now
them.
on. Yeah, like, every time we see team orders, like, we're going to be like, papaya rules. Like, it's just going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to tell, like, our kids about it someday. Like, we're going to be like, oh, I remember team orders. Ever heard of papaya rules? This was one that me and MJ cackled about quite a bit. Pierre passing Esteban. And as he passed, pressing the button to radio in him saying, ciao, ciao. I think that's so good. I think we need more taglines when people overtake people.
And then I think he DNF'd that race.
Yeah.
Which was, and then we were all like, oh, ciao, Pierre. So good.
Yeah, more taglines, guys. If you're a driver and you're listening, please come up with a tagline when you pass people. I think that's so funny. Mm-hmm. We also had 2 write-in votes. I did leave a little write-in for this one. And one of our write-ins was Yuki's exasperated why in Abu Dhabi. And I forgot about this one when they called him in and they were like, hey, like, you're going to stay out on these tires for a little longer. And he literally was like, why? It's so good.
Fair enough.
And then we also had Liam Lawson flipping off Checo. I'm so sorry, guys. The sirens are just far too much. What if it's like my building on fire? And I'm like, can you guys be quiet?
Please, quiet on set.
Liam Lawson flipping off Checo in Mexico. That is pretty funny. I think it's, like, unfortunate that maybe that meme hasn't aged well, because it's like now Liam has taken Checo's seat, and so it's, like, not as fun anymore.
No, it's no longer a giggle. It's not funny.
It's like a sad. Sad. Yeah. But do you want to announce who won this one, MJ?
Yeah, so the winner by a 55% vote was Oscar Leclerc.
And that's, honestly, it is funny. And I think we, like, let the joke go on, like, the perfect amount of time.
It ended, like, right as a break came around, and then once the break was over, they were like, okay, let's gracefully retire this. Unlike the way we retire our drivers, let's gracefully retire Oscar.
Yeah, he's also retired.
No, he hasn't been. No. Yeah, he's fine, guys.
Yeah, I think that was a good meme. I think we were maybe lacking a little bit in memes this year, if I were to be honest. I think we've had better years for memes in F1.
There just wasn't enough time to, like, make memes, because we were, like, there was actually, like, a little bit of a championship fight going on. So we were kind of putting a lot into just pointing fingers and being like, this guy's cheating, instead of being like, Max won again. Where are we going to find the giggles? You know?
This wasn't in our agenda for today, but can I talk about a meme that I would like us to retire gracefully?
Sure.
There's actually a couple that I have, but like I'm not here to like poo poo on everybody's fun. So like I'll like live with some of them, but I think I'm ready for us to stop saying that like the Dutch national anthem is like the end credits of F1.
Oh,
I think that that was like funny in 2023, but like the joke just doesn't hit very hard anymore. Or like when you're like watching like a different sporting event and you hear the Dutch national anthem and you're like, ha ha, like why are they playing the F1 like end credits song or whatever? I think unfortunately that like meme might be dead.
no, I agree.
Do you have one that you want to kill off, or are you happy with all of them?
The one last year that really bothered me was the incident meme, and that's kind of died off. That was
I'm
one of
ready
my
to kill
outs for
that one.
2024, and I think we need to like retire it. We can bring it back in the future. I don't know if any from this year really
Kind of like how like people
got
in
me.
F1 go on like gardening leave, like when they leave a team and they have to take like a certain amount of leave before they
Yes.
join a new team. I think we need gardening leave for incident. Like I think that that might like need a little time for it to
It
be
needs-
funny again.
Yeah, it's not doing what. Oh, actually one that I do kind of want to get rid of from this year is I think the T pose. I think the moment that George hit the T pose after he won, I think that's when we should have been like, okay, this is a beautiful moment. Let's actually close this down.
Let's
We
put
can
it
come
to
back
sleep.
to it after he like wins a world championship and be like, hey, that's the motherfucker who did the T pose a few years ago.
Yeah,
But I
that'd
think
be good.
I think for now it's just like not funny anymore, in my opinion.
Right.
Lovingly.
With love. All of this is with
Yeah.
love. We're not saying it can never not be funny. You just
No.
need to think about it before you use it and think like, is this worth using it? Like, is it such a perfect situation to do the T-pose that we have to do it and it would actually be funny? Or am I just doing it and I'm contributing to the problem? You know what I mean?
Right. Don't be part of the problem. Be a part of the
Be
solution.
part of the solution.
And only use the T pose tastefully and responsibly.
Responsibly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, use it responsibly. It's really serious, guys, and we've got to sort it out. So, thank you guys so much for coming to our TED Talk on that. And honestly, yeah, memes weren't that great this year, but it's because we weren't bored enough. So it's good to know, even in the darkest times of F1, when we are so fucking bored because somebody has built a monster of a car that dominates an entire season, at least we'll get good memes.
We'll always have the memes. The memes?
And
The
also,
memes.
well, we'll have the memes too. There's also a theory that the better the season is for racing, the worse the Drive to Survive season is. So I'm curious to see how that plays off this year, because I actually feel like we could have good Drive to Survive drama, but also good racing. But like maybe they'll find a way to fuck it up. Who knows?
I don't know. Why does that logic make sense? Because there's like the drama was given to Drive to Survive. Like all they had to do was film it. They didn't even have to write anything.
I guess like, well, okay, I will say like I remember the 2021 season of Drive to Survive did kind of suck, because it was like hard to capture like the Lewis and Max drama. Really, it was like
Interesting.
it was more of an aura of drama rather than like actual played out drama that they could film. Curious.
I mean, that makes sense. I can't wait to find out. I can't wait for you to find out and then to let me know.
Okay, period. Okay, so our next award is an award that goes across all series, which is our most valuable driver. And I'm not going to list all the people nominated. You know who the drivers of F1 are. And if you don't, like, I'm so happy you're here, but like, what are you getting out of this podcast? What? Like,
Whoa. There is no shame. If you don't know who the drivers are and you still want to listen, hell yeah.
okay, fine. Let me try again. So yeah, I'm not going to name all the drivers because that's hard, and I don't feel like doing it. Is that better, MJ?
No, that's good.
Okay. I'm going to be more honest and vulnerable and just say it's hard and I don't feel like listening to all of them. But who would you have voted for most valuable driver?
I would have voted for Nico Hulkenberg.
Okay. That's actually not a bad choice. He was on like the top 5 of a lot of like reputable news sites, like top 5 drivers of the year. I think with like what he had, nobody was expecting him to win a championship, but he did some good work.
The interviews at the beginning of the season, the Haas interviews, where they were like, we don't even expect to be at the back of the grid. We expect to be so bad we're not finishing races. And there were, I mean, he was supposed to start like P3 in that car until the FIA unjustly gave him a penalty. I think he killed it this year. An unsung hero of 2024.
So I was like, at first, I was like, I want to pick one of the two Ferrari drivers because I feel like Ferrari was really good about just like consistently picking up podiums. Like very rarely were they completely out of the equation. Like even at circuits that they weren't supposed to do well at, I felt like both of the Ferrari drivers put in some of the best drives of their career. I would say both of the Ferrari drivers honestly were like at their peak of their careers this year. I do think like it's hard to distinguish of the two for me because like Charles had that really low point with like Canada included. Not his fault, but it doesn't really like look great on his stats. And then like Carlos had some weekends where he was definitely not in it. But then I was like, let's be for real here. It's Max Verstappen because like I feel like the background noise that he had to deal with this year, so much drama within the organization, so much like unorganization with like the car, how they were going to improve it, what was really the matter. So many different stories about like, why can Max drive it and Checo can't? And then like the story just being because Max is a god potentially, who knows? Mm-hmm. And then still winning the championship despite so much like pressure every weekend that he was like gonna lose it, and the car consistently getting worse, yet him still managing to put in drives like Brazil. I'm gonna have to go with Max Verstappen, and the people agree with me. 30% of our vote went to Max Verstappen. Now, who are some of our like runner-ups here? Who are these 215?
Tied for second place was Oscar and Lando.
Oh, okay.
And then sitting at third place, Logan Sargent.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wait, okay, King. Yeah, he lives on in this podcast's memory. I gone but truly never forgotten. Love you, Logan. Honestly, I'm so surprised, like, more Lando girlies, like, just don't give it their all for Logan, considering that he contributed to Lando getting his first win. Like, that alone, like, he should be getting some recognition, and McLaren should cut him a check, okay? Because the amount of merch sales that they got off the Lando Miami win, they should have cut the hometown hero Logan some of that check, in my opinion.
No, I'm right there with you. At this point, put him in a McLaren somewhere. Get him in the number 6 era McLaren.
Wait, yeah, or like, yeah, McLaren's everywhere. You know what I mean? Like
they're
maybe they
in
could,
all
like,
the
get,
series.
like,
pick one.
Yeah,
put him in it.
Pick one. Yeah. You guys are always looking for people to fill that number 6 Aero McLaren seat. Like, just keep him in your thoughts. He looks just like Nolan. Like, if you kind of like squint a little bit, like people won't even notice the difference.
Just a little squint. Yeah, take off your glasses, take out your contacts, and squint.
They're like basically the same.
Yeah.
So that was it for our F1 awards. I was thinking we could talk about our F1 Rose and Thorn of the season. Do we want to come up with a better name, or do we just want to go with Rose and Thorn?
I think it's cute. I like Rose and Thorn. Okay. It's like a high and a low, but I think it's cute.
I implement Rose and Thorn in my own life. Like, it's kind of corny, but I do sometimes, like, when I'm hanging out with friends, be like, hey, guys, like, what was your Rose and Thorn of
That's
today?
how I knew about it. You asked me that as we were walking back from the Las Vegas GP. You're like, so, MJ, what was your Rose and your Thorn? I was like, huh?
I hate that.
I thought it was cute. I loved it.
Okay. Well, do you want to go first? What were your Rose and Thorn for F1?
Sure. Should I start with I should start with my Thorn.
Period.
Right?
Okay, yeah. Okay. And on a positive.
And so my Thorn was the Miami GP because it was Logan's hometown race and he was doing well, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think that's where the anguish kind of started. That was like, as soon as he was taken out by K-Mag, I was like, oh, this is how the season's going to go. So, and as I was dealing with that, I was in a group chat of Lando fans and none of them felt any sympathy for me. So I would say
they were like, can you turn your tears down, please? Like, we're trying to have a good time.
Yeah. They're like, did you watch the end of the race? And I said, no, I turned it off when I knew I should have turned it off. So that was my Thorn. And then my Rose was Zhou Guanyu getting points and also the little celebration they did for him in China. I thought that was very sweet. Yeah. Zoinks.
What do you think about the Zonuts that he did at the end of the season?
I loved it. I did write down Zonuts as well. It was sad, but it was a beautiful moment, and I think it gave me a lot of closure.
Did you know that they told him he wasn't even allowed to do donuts? So that makes the Zonuts like even more special. Like he did them in the undesignated FIA Zonuts area. Like he's a rebel. I love you, show.
An act of rebellion, and it was beautiful, and I'm so happy for him.
Zoints and Zonuts. That is such a good rose. Well, my thorn for the F1 season was the Checo drama. I think I was just like, I was like, it made me like question like what was real. Like I was like, there's a special meeting where they're deciding if he gets to stay or not. And then like that all was like a lie. And then like they were like, after Mexico, they were like, that's like the only reason why they kept him around. He's for sure gone now. And then like every week, like them asking this like poor shell of a man, like, do you think you have a job? And he's like, I literally have a contract. And they're like, yeah, but that's like not real.
Right. Oh, that was so painful.
It was just like depressing.
Season too. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it honestly was also sad because like Checo does have so many fans, and especially like in the US, like seeing like at Grand Prix, like it made me really come to appreciate like just how many people like love watching Checo race, and then like knowing that like he wasn't doing good at these races, yet like his fans were still there and like hyped about him. Like it was just like kind of depressing. Like it was such a thorn, and it went on the whole season. It was
Checo
never
fans
ending.
Are so strong. I don't know how they do it. How they did it.
No, yeah. Sorry, y'all.
I'm sorry. Guys, I'm sorry. Hey, I take that back.
Do you think that there's going to be like a downturn in like attendance at US races now? Or do you think that Checo fans are like still going to want to come? Like I feel like they might not give a shit anymore, and there might be like a huge downturn in ticket sales.
I mean,
they were
if not
kind of carrying the team.
I do think in the future, because I think a lot of people already bought their tickets for Miami. Miami was already open, so I'm sure
think Miami's already. Yeah,
a lot of Checo fans are going to end up going to that just without Checo. I think you're probably right. I think there will be a downturn in a lot of fans going to races.
Rip. I love you, Checo. I'm so sorry that happened to you, Checo. And that was definitely my thorn of the season. My rose, however, was how many unexpected rookie moments we had, but also just like the feeling of like rookies getting signed. The first one being Ollie Behrman. I think that was so fun. Like we didn't have any rookies coming into the season, and it was like going to just be the same people that you would, I don't know, there's something exciting about rookies. And when there was no rookies starting the season, it kind of was like nothing too crazy to look forward to. Ollie Behrman did great in Saudi Arabia. Then we had the whole Franco situation, like completely out of nowhere, a name that most people had never even heard of was getting a shot in an F1 seat. And then, seeing all these rookies get signed for next year. I think like the excitement started to like build for like younger talent, and it started to like really kind of spice up the grid a little bit. And it like every weekend that we were getting like a rookie, I was like excited to watch the race in a new way, because I was like, maybe we're watching like the next star get his first race. Like that's really cool. So Rose was rookies getting a shot. They're so cute. Like they're literally teenagers like driving a car. Like that is kind of crazy.
They're just little guys.
Yeah, they're literally little guys, and they're like
not even old enough to rent cars yet, and they're just like out there.
And it also was like kind of crazy getting to see like the drivers our age like be like the older brothers of the grid.
Yeah, I didn't actually like that. I was like, no, they're a rookie, but like they're probably like my age. They're like so young.
But it was like kind of cool to see them like Alex and Lando and George, that like last big like rookie class that came in, are like literally like the old, like they were like older brothers this year to like their teammates. Like that's kind of crazy, but it's like kind of cute. I don't know.
It was cute. It's endearing.
It's endearing. That's a better word for it. So that was the end of our F1 segment. We would love, by the way, to hear your guys' roses and thorns. I mean, if you watch us on YouTube, you can like leave in the comments, or if you watch us on Spotify, you can leave a comment. Like, there's a lot of things that I threw around as like potential roses and thorns, and I'm sure some people probably would include those in theirs. So on to IndyCar. Would you say that IndyCar was your favorite motorsports series to watch this year?
I would say so. I started watching. When did you start watching? I started watching Detroit casually, and then after Iowa is when I really got into it.
I think I started actually watching, like I would follow the results, but I started actually watching the races. I'm going to be honest, I think like Portland.
That's fair.
I'm going to be honest, I think like that was the first one that I actually like sat down and watched it, which is like kind of, guys, don't tell anybody. That's like kind of embarrassing.
No.
Right? Okay. Well, I mean like, I went back and watched all the old races, like, for the rest of the season. So, I am excited about this first award because this was, like, the first IndyCar race where I was like, oh, and inject this shit. Like, I'm going to need about 20 more of these. And that was Best Milwaukee Mile Performance because that race was insane. There was so many storylines out of that race, and everybody was like having their own little moment. And all of like the big hitters were having like their big championship scoring moments. Our first nominee, I was going to say first category, but that's not how awards work. Our first nominee is a friend of the show, Connor Daly. And by friend of the show, I mean he's never listened to our podcast and doesn't even know we exist.
We enjoy him. He's our friend. Could just be one way. Friend of the show.
Yeah. He's our friend. He doesn't know about the show, but like if he did, I think you'd like it. Connor Daly was a really fun storyline for this race because he got a podium. And honestly, I think this podium probably got him his job for this year. And it was just so cool because this was their best, like the team's best scoring performance.
And this was right after, so they had just let Canapino go right before this, introduced Connor Daly. Connor, who had just been, I think he had been with the most teams this year. I think it was like six, maybe?
Sure.
Teams he had raced with.
He'd had a tough year.
He, had a tough year.
Yeah.
Ended up getting a podium. And then he has that like meme picture. Have you seen like I think it's like an Olympic podium and it's like the gold, the silver, and then the bronze person is just like losing their mind. Yeah. Yeah. And so he had his moment.
Yeah.
It was an amazing drive. Shout out.
The second nominee was Colton Herta, who was kind of driving like you would drive in like a video game where like it's set on easy mode. Like this man was like passing people like 4 at a time, basically. Like he was driving like an insane man. And did he end up getting a podium? Okay, that was me when I lie. I don't think he got a podium, but he did do an amazing job. And it was really fun to watch. And I think it was like he also was kind of having a tough time of things. Like the last couple races had been like technical problems or just like shit not going his way. He started at the back of the grid and then he just like turned it into
overtook 7 on the first lap.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Shout out Colton Herta in the Gainbridge car. Love that.
In the 26 Gainbridge Honda. Shout out.
Our next nominee is IndyCar's most popular driver, Pato O'Ward, who won the race. Yeah, he won it. And it was just fun getting to see like his big celebration. I think like he had been waiting a while for a win, and he also got to do it on the same weekend where people were rubbing his name in the shit. And it was like the perfect like fuck you moment.
People being Mark Miles. Saying Pato who? That's when Pato who was born.
There's just like such like something so beautiful about like divine timing. And it was just like of all the weekends to win, like it was such a fun one to win because he was like literally like eat shit. Like I'm literally so popular. Look at how much fun people are having when I win. And then last but certainly not least, our IndyCar champion, Alex Palou, who also had like a start from the back moment and drove like he was in a video game on easy mode. Do you want to announce our winner, MJ?
Yeah, so with an astounding 47.4% vote was Pato. Pato O'Ward won.
Yeah. I think that one was just like I mean, obviously he won, so like I guess maybe he did have the best performance. I guess that's fair, guys. And also, like, well, we were the ones who phrased the award that way, I guess.
That's a good point. We did do that, didn't we?
You guys got us there. But also, yeah, I think it was just like an added fun because of the Pato Who. And I think that they actually had already made Pato Who merch by that point.
Oh, yeah. They had that in the works immediately after it dropped.
Yeah, I feel like I remember, like, literally they had, like, that, like, 20 seconds after he was out of the car, everybody had Pato Who hats on. That is just, honestly, nobody works as hard as Pato merch people. No. I mean, they are insane. Shout out. Our next IndyCar award was my favorite award, which was Juiciest IndyCar Drama. Now, before we get too far into it, I wanted to name a nominee that I forgot to include. And that is the RL FBI raid. I was kicking myself for forgetting to put it in there. That is so fun. There's nothing more fun than federal investigations in motorsports. Like,
so true.
Yeah, like that's insane. Like they literally got raided by the FBI for stealing, potentially, allegedly, like intellectual property from another team.
Yeah, from Andretti, allegedly, hypothetically, in Minecraft.
Correct. That is so fun. And I do remember having to text you and be like, Letterman, as in the David variety. And you were like, yes. And I was like, that made him so much more sick in my mind. Like, that's so cool. I don't know if he was in on it. Probably not.
No, I doubt it.
Yeah. I don't think he's like there in the day-to-day operations. But it is fun to think that David Letterman was like, hey, have we considered like
just
stealing?
Borrowing from someone else if they're doing so well, shouldn't we try?
Like maybe like we could like under the table pay them for information or just steal it. You know, whatever. That's fun. But some of the nominees we did include the Penske cheating scandal. That's just fun, right? Like good old fashioned cheating in a series that you own and also have a team in for some reason. And the fact that like, did we ever get closure? Like, was it just like straight up cheating? Like, wasn't the excuse like something along the line of like, I didn't know we couldn't do that?
They threw out a lot of
not a good. That's not a good excuse.
Yeah, they threw out a big oopsies. I didn't even know. No, it was pretty.
It's kind of like when like Trump had like the declassified the classified information. He was like, I actually declassified it like in my brain. Like they were kind of like, well, Penske said that he was gonna change that rule, and so before he changed the rule for everybody else, we were like testing it. Like we were testing the rule change, and it turns out the rule change was good. It did gain us a couple places. Rule change is a go. Our next one is one that we've already mentioned, Pato Who. Just like shit talking the most popular driver and basically being like, he's actually not that popular. I've never seen a billboard of him was like the most boomer thing I've ever heard. like how many times are you like taking out billboards for your favorite driver? Honestly, maybe we should start doing that. Maybe Logan Sargent will get a seat if you take out a billboard.
Honestly?
Dude.
Wait a minute.
Hey, I've heard worse ideas. How much could a billboard cost? Like,
write that.
Like
less
$10?
than the money that McLaren made after he got them the win in Miami. Thoughts? Zach Brown, buy Logan a billboard, please.
Like, yeah. Like, honestly, like who buys billboards anymore? They're probably like $10.
Oh yeah. I mean, if need be, I can like put up the little poster myself.
Yeah.
We could like make it.
Like one of those like digital billboards. Like we don't even need to buy the poster.
Yeah.
Like you just like, here's a little Canva graphic, put it up.
Yeah, that's so easy. Yeah, we'll look into it.
Yeah, maybe Times Square. We could do a billboard in Times Square.
How much
could those might be like $200. Like if a regular billboard's like $10, like that one might be like $200. But like we could like, yeah, if we ever get like a sponsor on the pod, we'll like look into it.
That's where the money will go. Straight to New York.
Yeah, so if anybody's interested in sponsoring, we might get a billboard for Logan Sargent. So your money will go to good use. Our next nominee was the Arrow McLaren number 6 driver swaps. Now, this is kind of like a drama that got me plugged in to IndyCar. I'm not going to lie. I was like, now what the hell is going on over here? Because McLaren fans in F1, like they were bebopping around. They were having a good time. They were winning races. And then it seemed like McLaren on the IndyCar side, it was not safe for the fans. It was like every 2 seconds their fave was fired. The fire-ins were like very brutal. Some of them, like, I guess they kind of made sense. Like, David Malucas's was, like, because he couldn't fulfill his contract and they, like, just needed somebody to, like, drive the car. But it was, like, he was basically healed at that point when they fired him. Like, he only needed, like, maybe 1 more week, and they were like, that's just too much. Sorry.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is, like, kind of crazy. And then, like, he just was like, okay, fuck me, I guess. And then went and had, like, a pretty good season at another team. And it was like, you could have just had season. You could have just had, like, a good driver on your team. Like, it was, like, kind of weird to do that, but whatever. Probably, like, the second or third most popular driver in IndyCar, right? Maybe I'm just, like, deluded because, like, I only hang out with, like, other young women. But, like, I feel like he's a pretty popular driver, too.
I think that's fair. He's a pretty popular driver. Who else was in there? Callum Ilott was in there for a minute. He's a popular driver.
Why did he get fired again? Did they just not fuck with him?
They were never going to give him a seat. He was just kind of a fill-in, did the Indy 500. He was never going to get a seat, even though he probably deserved it. And then they had Teo in there.
Rip.
Who also probably deserved it. And then they ended up with Nolan Siegel.
Which, like, I think, like, Nolan is a sweet guy. It is kind of weird that that's where they were like, okay, yeah, no, this is good. We're not going to fire people anymore.
Well, he is a little bit of a pay driver situation.
Oh. Darn.
We love Nolan. But he's so goofy.
Yeah, he's such a sweet guy. I mean, you can't even be mad at him. Whatever. But, like, I don't know. It was kind of weird that, like, they just, like, they thought, like, their plan of, like, just fire everybody was somehow a better plan than just, like, don't fire everybody. And it's, like, I just, like, feel like I don't run an organization that big, so, like, what the fuck do I know? But I just feel like that's probably never a good plan. Rats. Wait, could they also not fire anybody else because they ran out of the amount of people who could drive in one car during a season?
No. The Dale Coyne rule, which I think you're referring to, where you can only have 3 drivers per car, wasn't a thing until the charter agreement. It's part of the charter agreement.
Oh.
So they could have kept... They could have kept going. In fact, I think they stopped early. We should have seen who else we got.
Yeah. Yeah, like, who else? Well, there was a couple times where I was like, just, like, keep your phone off vibrate in case you get a call.
It could be any one of us.
Yeah, like, everybody needed to be on their toes because it could have been any of us. So that is one of our nominees. And then we also have the Alex Palou lawsuit, which, like, honestly, if you haven't caught the vibe already from this podcast, I just fuck heavy with lawsuits. I think it's like such, like, a interesting way rich people decide to take their anger out on each other. And like, I think that there's also something so funny about, like, Alex Palou, who seems like a pretty, like, chill guy. And it's
harmless. Like, literally harmless.
Like, you're, like, literally suing, like, a cute little, like, dog, like a little golden retriever. Like, that's what it feels like.
Elmo is what it feels like. You're suing the star of Sesame Street, Zach.
Yeah. Yeah, Zach, like, wants to be, like, big bad businessman, and it's like, this is your enemy, and it's like just Alex Palou, like, with his newborn baby being
this
like,
guy.
So, do you want to announce our winner? Oh wait, did you announce the last winner? I'll announce this winner.
Okay, yeah. Go for it.
I want to carry my weight on the podcast. You know what
sure.
I mean? So this winner, easy dub, with 47.4% was our Aaron McLaren number 6 driver swaps, which, like, makes pretty good sense to me. We had a close second, actually not close at all. Yeah, that's not how math works. With 21.1%, we had tie between Pato Hu and Penske cheating scandal. And that was that on that. So, juiciest drama, and yeah, so sorry, RLL Racing, that you guys did not get your due shout out, and that was on me, and I'm so sorry. We'll do better next year. And last, we have most valuable driver in IndyCar. And much like before, I'm not going to name all of the drivers. Mainly because I don't feel like it. And I was wondering if you would like to announce our winner. I was a little surprised by this winner.
Really?
Well, it's like, okay, first of all, who would have you had voted for?
I would have voted for Colton Herta.
I also would have voted for Colton Herta, but I think that like sometimes people will take like most valuable driver and they just go with like their favorite driver.
Or like the winner.
Yeah. So in that case, I would have thought like Alex Palou or Pato would have won. But our winner was...
It was Colton Herta with 42.2%. Followed pretty closely behind, I would say, by Pato in second.
Yeah.
26.3%. Like,
if you're not first, you're last. I'm sorry to the Pato fans. Colton wins. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I'm getting like so weird about certain things. I just like...
I don't know why I'm getting so silly.
I just feel like sometimes in award shows, like, you know, like when like there's just like a one announcer who like makes it really weird for everybody. I kind of feel like that's me today. Yeah, like they go out on limbs a lot with jokes that like are just not landing with the audience. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. It's actually all a character, guys. It's not that I'm unfunny. I'm actually very funny. I just so yeah, Colton, I think that this is great for us because we have our agenda of him winning the Indy 500, winning the championship, and then going to the Cadillac seat. Well,
F1.
he's actually
going to F1.
He's going to NASCAR, right?
He's actually going to MotoGP.
Yeah, everything is like on the table for Colton. Really, the world's his oyster. But we think specifically he should go to the Cadillac team. I'm really interested in him becoming an American hero in F1, and it's very important to me that he stays on the current trajectory that he is on. So there's that on that. Shout out IndyCar. Do you want to give your rose and your thorn?
Absolutely. Starting with my thorn, obviously. It was when the Gateway race, when we were like, oh my God, David Malukas, he's come off his injury. He's with Meyer Shank. He's doing really well. He did really well there last year. He was not projected to win, but like had a good chance of winning. And then Will Power took him out. Just absolutely unnecessarily, I would say, took him out, and then proceeded to scream at him
right,
that it was his fault. It was so, and he cried on television.
Yeah, and that's where I like honestly like I'm like recovering, but I was like kind of a Will Power hater because I was just like there was like times where I was like, my guy, like what is the need for all this?
There was definitely a moment where I was in the group chats being like, hey, can we still like Will Power after that?
And I was unsure.
But they did get together the following weekend and do a little campy photo shoot together where they were like, see, no beef, which did make me feel better because I do love Will Power. But in the moment, I was just like, hey, that was a real dick move, Will.
You know what won me back over?
And I think you would agree.
Right. You know what won me back over with Will Power? It was just the seatbelt incident. Because I just thought, like, he got his karma. You know what I mean?
Karma.
Like, it was like, we just had to wait a couple weeks for it. But, like, there's something so funny about, like, a championship battle ending and his seatbelt coming undone that I was like, this is somehow because of the David Malukas thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, too.
So
my
what's your
rose was the elf activation at the Indy 500.
Yeah.
That was huge.
I was like I was rewatching the Indy 500 the other day, and they were talking about like the elf sponsored car, and there was something so cute about the little activation they did with like the lip oils.
Yeah,
it's like cute. A car, you know, like his cars have oil, and I was like, no, yes, and I also fuck with that lip oil. So like
heavy.
A
Me
dub
too.
is a dub. Yeah, and I'm really sad for Catherine that her Indy 500 ended in a Honda engine failure. And how are they going to make it up to her this year? She wins. Well, no, because Colton has to win.
Well, she could get like
second.
A non-heartbreaking second.
Yeah, your time is coming, Catherine. We're just on like a really tight schedule for Colton, unfortunately.
I know she understands. She gets it.
Yeah, no, she gets it. My thorn was the schedule for IndyCar I felt like it was like really short. Maybe it was just because it was like I was just starting to get into the sport as it was ending. I also felt like they had to take a lot of weird gaps because they were competing with TV time for the Olympics and like other sports seasons that were happening. And it just like was kind of an unsatisfying length of a season, and just like the general schedule was not my favorite. I felt like it was like kind of weird how like the end of the season was just a lot of ovals. Like it wasn't very like switched up, you know what I mean? So I kind of felt like I would have liked to see a little bit more variation from week to week so that we don't just get into like this weird chunk of like, okay, if you're not good at ovals, you're not going to do good for the next like 3 or 4 weeks.
This is where your points end. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's something kind of like icky about that I didn't love. And I really don't think that this is going to be improved upon next year. I think that they're sticking pretty closely with like the same schedule, but maybe it's something that in the future IndyCar, as they get new fans, maybe they'll switch things up. I mean, in 2026, we're supposed to get the Arlington Grand Prix. I'm curious to see like maybe that could be towards the end of the season, as like if they're trying to make it a big deal, it'd be cool to like kind of have it as like a street-ish circuit type vibe towards the end of the season so we could break up some of these ovals. Who knows? Who knows? But my rose was honestly like just getting into the sport period. I'm sorry, this is like kind of cringe. This is like a me rose. But the racing was so good, and it was like very addictive as a fan, seeing cars that can pass each other, seeing drivers who can race against each other without just bumping wheels and taking themselves off track.
Yeah.
And also seeing oval races was pretty astounding as an F1 fan. And let me be a lesson to stop sleeping on IndyCar. You're not doing yourself any favors if you're not watching IndyCar. You're actually just missing out on a lot of the best open wheel racing that there is to watch.
You're going to love IndyCar. I simply promise you, you're going to love IndyCar. Yeah. If you haven't given it a try,
sorry, you're unfortunately missing out on a lot of fun, and it's really good. So I couldn't think of like a rose really, because I just kept thinking like, wow, I'm so lucky I got to watch this sport this year. Like, it's kind of corny, but I was like, this is so fun. Like, everything was kind of like a rose. I think that's kind of a cop-out. I'm sorry. That's the last of these. Like, I'm not copying out for the rest of the roses and thorns, but I couldn't think of anything else for IndyCar.
No, I think that's wonderful.
Thank
you.
Blessed. Thank you, Hashtag blessed. Everybody, drop your hashtag blessed rose and thorns for IndyCar. What were you hashtag blessed about this year in IndyCar? Well, actually, my rose could also have been just a championship battle ending in a seatbelt malfunction. Like, I just keep coming back to that. Like, Iconic. I just think that was honestly, like, for me, I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. You guys got me next year. Like, it's so
what
good.
A championship battle. Dude, that was insane. That whole thing. And then the fact that Scott was, like, making jokes, like, trying to give Alex Palou, like, bad sushi and locking him in a porta potty. That's the way championships should be.
Right. Yeah.
In my opinion.
So that moves us to NASCAR, which you and I both were new to this year. Correct?
Very new. Very new. Like right before playoffs is when we hunkered down and figured out what the fucking NASCAR was.
Yeah. So we missed a lot of like the regular season shenanigans, unfortunately, but this next year we are all in. I have to say also, just as a note, our experience becoming new NASCAR fans has been extremely positive thus far. Mm-hmm. There has been times we have been woefully wrong about things and have gotten nothing but like very kind fans of NASCAR, excited to have new fans in the space and not being dicks about it, which I have to say thank you so much to the people that listen that are NASCAR fans for not making me cry. It's really nice that you guys do that.
Yes.
But yeah, what are your thoughts as like a first year NASCAR fan? Anything you want to go into the awards with? Any vibes, any feelings? What are you excited about?
NASCAR's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I'm excited because I have very strong feelings about all of these awards. I will say we can see how many people voted for each award, and the votes did kind of taper off once we got to the NASCAR section.
Right.
So for those of you at home who didn't vote, we see you, we love you. Next year, you'll be able to vote.
exactly. We also did get some feedback that some people were just voting off like vibes, which,
and I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that that's like democracy. You know what I mean? Is like sometimes like you just have to like
you're
go
just
with
like
your gut.
You get to the ballots and you're like,
yeah,
what are the vibes here?
I'm a little out when it comes to school board. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if this one's speaking to me. I don't have. It's like, but you do. Yeah, I appreciate you guys voting anyways.
Yeah.
Our first category is NASCAR Best Paint Scheme. Do you want to talk about our nominees a little bit and, you know, like just give them the rundown on what people were voting on?
Yes, absolutely. So our contenders for this award, we had SVG's Wendy's Spicy Chicken Sandwich, which he ran late in the year. A great one.
Honestly,
we had Daniel.
Can I just say, all of the Wendy's ones were like pretty good.
They're so
I mean,
good.
Like, it was kind of tough for me picking like which one, because like there was one where it was like fries being dipped into a Frosty. Like that's great. And then like, yeah, they had the spicy chicken sandwich. I think they also had some other quirky ones. Definitely just SVG. I love the Wendy's sponsorship for you.
It was good. And then we have Daniel Suarez's Purple Tootsies paint scheme.
What is it? What is Tootsies? Is it too late for me to ask what that is?
No. This is the perfect time. It's like a bar in Nashville. I think it's a chain.
Oh.
Of like, but it is the bar in Nashville that Will Power played the drums at.
Wait,
after he lost the.
Do they sell Daniel Suarez Tootsies merch?
No, they don't sell anything in there.
Damn.
We'll go.
Well, no, I was going to say that you could buy some you could buy some before we go to Nashville, and then you could like go and like people will know that you're like a real fan. You know what I mean? Or you could like buy one of those little die casts and just kind of like walk around with it.
Be like, guys, this is you. This is you on a car.
Y'all did this. I love your work.
Big fan of your work. Yes. Okay. So the Purple Tootsies paint scheme. I always want to say livery. Can I be so honest with you guys?
Yeah,
I want to say livery
is just
so
a better
bad.
word. Yeah, it's like a better word for it.
I understand why it's paint scheme, but
we'll give in to the NASCAR fans on just this one thing. But like, just know in our hearts, paint scheme's weird, and we don't fuck with it.
No, we don't. The Bubba Wallace Columbia Star Wars livery, not livery. God damn it, paint scheme. As we just discussed.
Like give us some grace and kindness, guys.
Yeah, we've been doing this for not long enough. And then the final one was Todd Gilliland's Grillo's Pickles?
Yeah. I just fucked with it heavy. I just thought it was cool. So the one that I would have voted for personally would have probably been the SVG Wendy's ones. As you could tell by the way I talked about it. I think it was so sick. I do have something to say about this award in general, though, and just about the NASCAR fan community. I love how hard NASCAR fans ride for like paint schemes. Like every week there is like a abundance of NASCAR fans giving thorough thoughts and opinions on every paint scheme that's new for that race. And like, let's be honest, not all of the brands are like the most glamorous of brands to like give a shit about what their like paint is gonna be. Like it's gonna be a variation of like the same thing every week. But like that doesn't matter to NASCAR fans. They fuck heavy with like getting down to the nitty gritty of like the buildsubmarines.com paint scheme. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that that's really sick. I think that you wouldn't expect that from the NASCAR fans. But I do think it's like partly because they like fuck so heavy with like the die casts and stuff like that, that I think it's like kind of a cool little quirk about the NASCAR fan community. I think it's kind of cute. I fuck with it.
It is cute. Although they are kind of brutal sometimes about some of them.
Yeah, they'll be like, this is not how I would have designed it. And I'm like, oh, period. Like Project
so
Runway,
true.
that shit.
Everyone all of a sudden has a graphic design degree.
Okay, so go ahead and just tell the people what you would have voted for, because it's also, can I spoil it? It's also our winner.
Yeah, obviously I would have voted for the Daniel Suarez Tootsies livery. I talk about it a lot. I talk about that livery quite a bit on my social media.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the masses succumbed to the right answer, because it was the right answer by 57.9%.
A large margin.
Followed closely, not closely at all behind, Bubba Wallace.
We're struggling with math a little bit. We keep saying like closely, and it's not closely at all.
Well, because you guys have to understand, we're looking at pie charts. So, like, the first thing I see is, like, oh, well, the Tootsie livery was, like, this chunk of the pie. And then, like, the next chunk of the pie, like, it's still a decent amount of pie. Mm-hmm. Like, you'd be satisfied with that amount of pie. But it's, like, in reality, it's, like, a third of the bigger piece of pie. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, people really liked the Bubba Wallace one, too. I think that's, like, I mean, I think it's, like, cool that you can even, like, have such a big collaboration with, like, a brand like Star Wars. Like, it was through Columbia, who has a brand collaboration with Star Wars. But, like, it is kind of cool, like, getting, like, a movie franchise on a car like that. It's kind of sick. So that was our first NASCAR award. Our second one is the best Bristol walkout song. And I thought that this would be cute to include because one of the first posts that we made when we were starting the laps down, I think it was even before we posted an episode.
Put out an episode,
it was like what we thought each person's Bristol walkout song should have been. And like we went like a little bit quirky with it, you know. I thought like there wasn't nearly enough Charlie XCX, but like that's just a
Chaperone. Yeah. We put our heart and souls into that, and none of them were realistic, I fear. But
that's not to say that like there weren't some great options. So do you want to introduce who our nominees were for this award?
Absolutely. So first we had the Goofy Goober Rock, which is a song from the SpongeBob movie, the original SpongeBob movie, and that was Austin Cindric's.
The original SpongeBob movie. I love how you specified.
Because there's like original. 3 now. The original. And then second we had Move Bitch by Austin Dillon, which was funny because of his controversial race win at Richmond.
And it's just the gummy like, cuss words are funny.
The B word, hilarious. Crowd favorite.
LOL.
LOL. We had the Gummy Bear song, which was Daniel Hemrick's song. And then we had In the Air Tonight. And Harrison Burton walked out to that. I don't even think I knew that had happened until you put it on this.
It's a good song to pick.
It's a crazy song to pick for a Bristol walkout because there's like flames shooting out.
Yeah.
The crowd's going crazy and then.
Yeah, I think like next year, like we would be open to like consulting with drivers if they like wanted like some help picking their Bristol walkout song. I actually think this is something like we could be good at. Like, I think that some of them could have used like a little, like when you look at the full list, definitely could have used a Gen Z touch, I think, on some of them.
It was a lot of, like, the basic heavy hitter, like, hype songs. And I was like, we could get a little bit more creative.
I think, like, meme is the best way to go with this. Because it's, like, it's just such a funny situation that you're, like, walking out with, like, flames and stuff. Like, it's like, you gotta, like, meme song it. Like, I think that's much funnier. So if, like, you guys are stuck next year and you want some consultation, me and MJ would love to help you out. But these 4, I think, did good. So our winner was Move Bitch, which is
so real.
Right, like no notes. That one with 36.8%. So honestly, not the biggest like blowout win of our awards. No. So what were our second and third? What was our podium, MJ?
Actually closely behind.
Genuinely closely behind.
Genuinely close. The pie is just a little bit smaller. That pie piece is. Was Goofy Goober Rock. Sure. And then just right behind that, one less vote, was the Gummy Bear song.
Yeah. So,
that
honestly,
feels right.
The people on this list, like, they don't need our consultation. You guys did good.
No. Yeah, they're fine.
Unfortunately, though, that means that these memes are already, like, dead. Right? Because, like, they've already been picked. You can't do it again. Is that how that works? Can you do this again? How many times do you think before, like, the meme is dead? Like, how many times can somebody walk out to, like, Goofy Goober Rock before it's like, okay, it's not funny anymore?
That's like one of those songs that is, it's like Freebird. It's timeless.
Oh, Freebird would be a good one. Has anybody done that?
The whole song. Whole like 6-minute song.
They're like, hold on, I'm not walking out yet. Like, I gotta wait till it gets to a certain part, you know?
Yeah.
And then our last award of the Laps Down Award is NASCAR Most Valuable Driver. And this is where I felt like people were just voting based on vibes because it was a really split up piece of pie. And our winner, with honestly not many votes, was Tyler Reddick. And I think that part of me thinks, like, is that just people, like, voting because they're like, oh, like, Tyler Reddick has been in an episode title, like, 4 fucking times on this podcast, and, like Andrea's, like, clearly a fan, and, like, I don't watch NASCAR, so I'll just, like, pick him, potentially.
Potentially. And you know what? That's the best outcome, in my opinion.
Right.
Who would you have voted for? Would you have voted for Tyler Reddick?
I kind of feel like maybe I would have voted for... I don't know. Maybe I would have voted for, like, Kyle.
I would have voted for Kyle.
I'm also kind of thinking maybe I would have voted for Christopher Bell. Because I just feel like maybe, like, I have some recency bias, but, like, I kind of feel like he was so consistently, like, in the top 5. Like, he never really had, like, massive lows during the playoffs.
Yeah, all of his, like, losses, they weren't, like, he did a bunch of shit wrong. It was just, like, circumstance situation. I actually, looking at my notes, I did write down Christopher Bell. I would like the record to state. So,
I think,
that's
like,
2
Kyle
votes.
Larson and Christopher Bell, those were, like, I think, like, consistency kings. You know what I mean? Like, they were there the whole season.
Right.
They had, like, very minimal bad low points. They just unfortunately didn't have as high of points as they would have needed in order to win the championship.
So true.
Sorry, buds. So do we want to end on our Rose and Thorns for NASCAR? I can go first this time since I've put you on the spot the last 2 times.
Yes, let's hear it.
My thorn for NASCAR was having a champion that nobody fucks with. I think that there was something, like, really sad about, like, the end of the season, everybody just kind of being mad about who won, everybody being like, they don't deserve it. Like, we don't even, like, really recognize Joey Logano as, like, an actual champion because it's like, it's so, like, not how this season played out, blah, 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 blah. And I think that there's something really anticlimactic about, like, everybody just, like, not fucking with the champion. Like, I think it would have been more fun to have a champion that, like, everybody could have just genuinely celebrated. Because the few people who were Joey Logano fans who were actually just trying to be, like, outwardly excited, people would, like, be like, no,
wrong.
You're done. Yeah, your opinion is invalid. And, like, that's kind of not, like, a great note to end what was a pretty fun, like, racing season off with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, Joey Logano. We had a fun song for you, though. That was something great that came out of 2024, was the Laps Down Joey Logano song to the tune of Copacabana. If you guys are interested, check out our previous episodes. We sing it. We sing it a good amount.
Quite often.
And then my rose was the last lap of Homestead. I just think that was really fun as a Tyler Reddick fan. It was also just, like, super fun to have 3 cars in it on the last lap. I think it was Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick. Nobody was, like, really watching Tyler Reddick until it was like, oh shit, he just passed and won in, like, the last turn. That was, like, kind of fun.
That's beautiful.
And I also just think, like, everybody was having a good time at Homestead. Like, the drivers were vibing with it. The fans were vibing with it. It was, like, one of the few playoff races where I feel like everybody was just having a good time. Nobody was complaining. The only complaints that we got were, like, why is this not the finale race? Mm-hmm. I guess that's something beautiful about the NASCAR playoffs is, like, even when it's, like, so much fun, if it's too much fun, people are like, this is better than Phoenix. This should just be the finale race. Like, I think there's something beautiful about, like, everybody hating the playoffs that much. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a moment of unity.
A sense of community. Absolutely.
Yeah. But it's like good-natured complaining. Like, nobody's, like, death-threatening. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just like, I'm mad. And it's like, me too. And it's like, wow, we're, like, friends now.
We are one. That was actually really nice about getting into NASCAR during the playoffs, because you can see, like, the immediate issues with playoffs, and then you automatically have a dialogue that you can start with other NASCAR fans. Like, I don't know jack shit about the playoffs, but this is low-key fucked.
Yeah, you're like,
I love
Phoenix, am I right? Like, this is like the stupidest track to end this on.
Phoenix.
Yeah. And, like, that's, like, I feel like such a beautiful thing about the NASCAR community. Just everybody can be in on that. It's kind of like the FIA and F1. It's like, you don't have to know much. You just have to know, like, this shit sucks and we're all mad about it. And then you just go, hell yeah, I'm plugged in. Or what is the IndyCar? Is the IndyCar equivalent just like Penske? Okay, I got a slight shrug for the audio listeners. So that could potentially be the IndyCar. Like, if you're
probably
confused and you don't know where to start as a fan, like, that's a good place to start. It'll get you far to just like kind of like rip on these things. Period. What was your rose and thorn?
Period. I really struggled with the thorn. I really did. I considered
she was having too much fun, guys. She couldn't even think about one downside.
This is all great. Even the bad stuff, I'm still having a hoot. I did consider putting down that like 12 minutes or whatever it was where we were just waiting to see if Christopher Bell was going to get in trouble for riding the wall.
I almost put that as my rose because I just thought like that was drama.
So that was my issue. So what I did end up going with was SVG losing at Watkins Glen because I was like, that was a near miss. I just love SVG. I love SVG. And I thought I was going to see, there were a couple times. I think the Roval was another one where I was like, yeah, no, he's got it in the bag. He did not have it in the bag.
Getting taken out in Chicago, that was kind of sad.
Anytime anything happened to SVG, that's my thorn. But my rose, and this is kind of a crazy one, so hold tight.
Hold on to your seats, guys.
Hold on to your hats. It was actually when Austin Dillon took out Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin to win at Richmond. And only because, first of all, I'd never seen anything like that before. Like, I've never seen, like, and he did it on purpose. Like, it was so clearly he did it on purpose. I was immediately hooked. I was like, NASCAR? Amazing. Not that I agree with it, yada, 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 all that, like, hedging my bets. I just thought it was really interesting.
It was fun.
And then it was fun to be a part of the dialogue that week because I was like, that was crazy. Should he be allowed to do that? That was my rose. That's what got me into NASCAR, I fear.
So, if you're still listening at this point in the pod and you're not watching NASCAR, you're probably like, damn, I'm missing out on some crazy stuff. And the answer to that is, yeah, you do be missing out on a lot of fun. So if you didn't,
it starts soon. Literally, what, 2 months?
Yeah. So, well, I don't know how time works. I just like make it week by week and hope that I survive the next week. But,
okay. Moving on.
Right. So that was the end of our Lapstone Awards and also our little 2024 recap. We have had such a great time 2024 diving into a lot more motorsports than we started the year with, and I'm excited looking at my 2025 calendar at just like how booked and busy we're going to be watching races. We're also like, last week was our 90 days of the podcast, and it's like pretty crazy that I didn't even know who MJ was until like literally this summer. And I think that 2024 has been very kind to us, and I'm excited to see what goes down in 2025.
Woo woo.
Do you have any like predictions for 2025, like for us?
Oh, like what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna go to a lot. We have a lot of races that we want to try to go to. Races that are in the motorsport series that we talk about currently, and some that are simply not.
Yeah. I did put like an X on some of them. Can I tell the audience? I did put an X on... Okay, fine.
No.
There is one where I was like, that we're pushing the definition. No, because you said it was an
X, but it feels like a soft X, and I feel like we could make it happen.
Okay.
It could be really fun.
We have our first race coming up in just a couple of short weeks, and that will be the Daytona Rolex 24. And I'm very, very excited to see you in person again. We'll probably be making another vlog for the channel, which we're going to try to do a lot in 2025 because they're just like a lot of fun to film, and they're kind of like little digital scrapbooks of the laps down vibes. And thank you guys for listening to us in 2024. If you're part of our listening audience right now, you're kind of like investing early. You know what I mean? Like, you're our early investors in, you guys are we're lucky to have y'all. So thanks to our little community of people that listen to us. We really appreciate it. And with that, give us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on whatever. You guys like, just like click the link tree or like don't. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. Like, we vibe with you either way. And yeah. Bye. Say bye, MJ.
Goodbye.
Period.